Today we're going to be talking about vending tips for small businesses. So it doesn't matter if you sell art, food, clothing, jewelry, all these tips will apply for all of you. So I have a crystal business called Be Serene, and I make jewelry. So I've vended at a lot of different types of events in the past 2 years. So I've vended at farmers markets, crystal fairs, club events, like in the club at night with a lot of drunk people, a lot of fun, college campuses, a whole bunch of different events. So my experience with those have been very different, but there are a lot of common themes with all of those. So the first one is, how is your setup? Have you thought about your setup? Do you want it to be a walk-in experience? And by that I mean, if it's an outdoor event and you have a canopy and it has walls on it, do you want people to have to walk into your physical space to see what you're selling? It can be a pretty magical experience or a really fun experience. The only downside I would say for this is you might be a little bit intimidating to shy people. So I consider myself shy, and sometimes I just want to look from afar to see what somebody is selling, and if I feel obligated to walk inside a physical space, I may just continue walking past it. So you kind of have to decide, you know, do you want to invest in a full experience? Do you want just one table? I only use one table. It's clear what I'm selling from the front. So that's my second tip, is you want your logo and your business name very visible. So for me, that's on my tablecloth. I have my crystal logo and my business name. So when people walk by, they know exactly what it is I'm selling. Other things you can invest in are banners, but those can be really expensive. So if you have a canopy, a banner hangs behind you, behind your table. Can be as colorful or not as you want. Some people have some pop-up banners. Those are a big investment. They're expensive. It's permanent, right? It's not a paper poster. You have to have a design and everything that you want on it. It's printed on it. You're spending a lot of money. You're gonna use it a lot. So you want your brand name visible for people to see. So for the walk-in experience, that's something that you can achieve usually for outdoor events like farmers markets. But if you're in an indoor venue, you can't really have a walk-in space. You have to fit in with the vibe of everyone else around you. So that's why I like to stick to just one table, because it's kind of a consistent setup wherever I go. I switch it up slightly depending on the type of venue, but if you're vending at different types of events, you're gonna have to be prepared to switch up your setup. This is the most important tip I have for you. And it took me 2 years to realize this, which is really why I wanted to make this video. There are a lot of mistakes that I've made vending that I want you to avoid. The biggest tip is to collect emails when you vend. When someone told me, if Instagram crashed tomorrow, would you be able to contact your customers? Not really, not for me at least. I only had 50 people on my mailing list when I had this realization that I would only be able to contact 50 people because I don't actively collect emails. It's ridiculous. So I created an email list, a sign-up sheet. I designed it in Canva. It's so colorful. People look at it like, oh, what's this? You want it to attract people. You want people to be excited about signing up. So the first time I just had my email list out, and whenever I had a customer, I'd say, oh, sign up for my email list. And only like 10 people signed up. Like, not many people signed up at all. The second time I vended with an email list, I offered an incentive. If you sign up for my email list, you get a free sticker. This is a sticker. As you can see, it's really cute. So I do normally sell this sticker for $3.50. So you really are paying for each email. So you obviously don't want to offer something that's really gonna make you lose a lot of money. You know, I sell these for $3.50, but it doesn't cost $3.50 to make a sticker. It was a loss that I was willing to take, because I think collecting emails is that important, and I'm telling you, it really is that important. So that day, vending off of offering free stickers, I collected like 70 emails in one day. And I had only 50 emails after a whole 2 years of running this business. And off of one day of offering an incentive, I gained 70 more emails. So you want to think about what it is you want to offer. It doesn't have to be, you know, one of your products. It can be, if you sign up for the email list, you get 10% off today. If you sign up for the email list, it's up to you. But you want to collect emails so that you can have email campaigns so that people know about new products, all these events happening that you're throwing. You also want to be very intentional about what information you're collecting. So for me, I just became yoga certified. I know I want to start hosting yoga events through Be Serene. So even like months before I became certified, I, on the email list, had a little section that said, are you interested in yoga events? So people said yes or they said no. So I could create a subgroup email list of people who are interested in yoga, so that I knew once I became certified, I would start reaching out to those people, and I already have an audience, so I don't have to be stressed about building that yoga group now. I already have a good start. So you want to be intentional with what you create. If you need any help, this is a service I'm offering. So essentially you'd be paying for creation of the email list and also tips on, you know, what are you hoping to achieve with this email list. So I'll send more details on that. You can find the information below. This is important. So when I first started, I felt the need to have my whole inventory on display. You do not need your whole inventory out on your table. It's going to look a mess. Like, am I allowed to cuss? I'm gonna just mute it out. Alright, so if you have your whole inventory on your table, it's going to look like a giant cluster. It's gonna look it's going to look so messy. Oh my god. I'm so glad I've come a long way. I've been vending for 2 years now, and I've refined my process so much, but it looked so messy. I was so proud of it too when I first started, but now looking back, I'm like, this is not good. So I'm trying to help you avoid this. For example, say you have 50 keychains, the same design, same keychain, but you have 50 of them. Put 5 on display. Keep the other 45 underneath your table. You don't need to have all 50 of them on your freaking table. You're just taking up space. And if anything, that creates a feeling of demand. If people are like, oh my god, there's only 2 keychains left, like they must be so popular, I really want a keychain. That's a really good tip. So whatever products that you do have, I recommend having different levels to it. So if you have art, you don't want all your posters to just be lying flat on the table. You want to have some propped up, leaning against something, so that customers walking by easily know what it is you're selling. So for me, with jewelry, I have a necklace display that's huge and standing up, so I have necklaces. But I also do have more necklaces flat on just a flat box jewelry display. I have bowls that people can touch certain things, the necklaces you can look at and touch. I have stickers that are nice to look at. I have a clothing rack with clothes. So there's a lot of different things going on, but it doesn't feel messy anymore because I don't have, you know, 100 of every single thing. And because there's different levels, there's so many different things that people can interact with. If 10 different people are at your table, you want to provide an experience for everybody. Another great tip, you want to think about how you greet your customers. Is it something rehearsed? Are you trying to strike a conversation with every single person that comes to your table? What I typically do, again, because I consider myself a shy person, I think about my experience as a customer. I personally don't really like having a full-on conversation with every vendor that I come in contact with. Just because sometimes it can seem really superficial. If you are going to strike up a conversation with someone, make it interesting. I usually just start off with greeting a customer, hey, let me know if you have any questions. People will just be like, oh my god, yes, I have so many questions, thank you for asking. And we'll just go into it. So just be organic, be natural, don't force it, but you also don't want to not say anything. That can appear rude. You don't want to be rude. Yeah, so it really depends on your own personality. Business cards are an absolute must. If you don't have any business cards already made, I would highly recommend Vistaprint. So I use Vistaprint for my business cards, and you order in bulk. The more you order, the better deals that you get. So I think the first time I ordered 500, second time I ordered 500, and now 2 years into my business, I realize I'm at a point where I'm gonna keep it going, so I probably will start to order 1,000 at a time. I would say 500 is a good place to start. So I keep them on the two front corners of my table, just a large stack of them. I put it on a nice like marble plate. It was like a dish plate from Target. It looks really nice. This is great because for people who are just looking and not ready to buy, they'll still take a card. People love taking business cards, especially if they look really good, if they have some art on it or something. I pride myself in the design of my business card because I would want someone to, you know, put it up on their wall as art or something, want to hold on to it. So people take the business cards thinking it's something I'm selling, and I'm like, no, it's my business card. Please take as many as you want. So people who are not ready to make a purchase will take your card and hopefully turn into a future customer. They'll go on your Instagram, your Facebook, your email, your website, and potentially be a customer in the future. So business cards are super important. You want all that information on there because like hundreds of people will take your business cards. So now let's talk about things you should purchase in order to vend. A table is the biggest essential. I'm talking about a 6-foot long table. You want to check though with the events that you're vending at, because often they provide tables, they provide chairs. If you're doing an outdoor event, sometimes they provide canopies. So you don't want to just be unnecessarily spending money if, you know, you just are starting out, you're trying it out. Find a vending event first, see what they provide. Sometimes through them, you can pay an extra fee in order to get a table, so you don't have to buy your own. But yeah, a table is a great start, and a tablecloth. That's really all I started with, all I had in terms of setup for a very long time. If you want to start doing outdoor events, I mentioned a canopy. That is very important. You don't want to be getting all hot and sunburned and bothered. You don't want your stuff, your products on your table either to be melting if you have candles or soap or food. You know, you don't, like for me, my crystals get really hot in the sun. That is so dangerous. So canopy is important. If you have a canopy, you need sandbags because your canopy will fly away in the wind. I've seen it happen. It's so embarrassing. It hasn't happened to me, but even watching it happen, it's terrible. So you want weights, which you can find on Amazon. I'll put a link for that. I just recently purchased foldable shelves, which are so amazing because I have my 6-foot table and a shelf on the other side facing the side. So whatever angle people are coming from, they can see some sort of product. Their eye catches onto something glimmering. So, you know, I have my necklaces, some handheld crystals on my actual table. But on the shelves, you know, you can put plants or larger crystals. It depends on what you're selling, but you can kind of switch it up. Or if you're doing an outdoor event and you have your canopy, I just started putting my table kind of closer in, so a semi-walk-in experience, but the shelves at the very front. So people who are not wanting to walk in can kind of touch things at the front and then be enticed to come in further. Foldable shelves are great. Again, I'll include that. I bought those on Amazon. Foldable benches are great because a lot of events are hours long. You're gonna want to sit down at some point. So I have this foldable bench. It's really cute, and people are always jealous of it whenever I show up with it because people have these clunky foldable chairs. But I have a foldable bench, which I think is from Costco, and it can fit like 4 people on it. It's really nice. The last thing is a foldable wagon. A key word with all of this is foldable. You want the process to be easy to put all this stuff in your car. So a foldable wagon is nice if you have a lot of things, if you have heavy things. I just started using it. I can't believe I didn't have it before. It's made my process so much faster. One thing I haven't mentioned is how to collect payment. So I started off using a Square reader, which I really liked. Square, when you sign up, sends you a free card reader. This is for swiping cards only though. Most cards these days have a chip. So I ended up buying the Bluetooth portable reader. So it's like a Square, it's $50. You insert the card or you can tap your phone to it. So the touchless payment methods work with that, and that is really great. I recently switched to the Shopify card reader because I have my website through Shopify. It was just easier for me to keep track of inventory. So if you use Shopify, I recommend the Shopify point of sale. It just makes more sense. This has saved me a lot of stress. Making a packing list for the day before. You want this list to have everything you're most likely to forget. Portable charger. If you don't have one, I highly recommend that. I'll post a good Amazon link for that. Even if your phone is fully charged and you're vending at something for 3, 4, 5 hours and you're constantly on your phone swiping people's cards, your phone's gonna die. You need a portable charger. The other thing is cash. You absolutely need change for your customers. I tend to forget this one, so the packing list really saves me every single time. About the cash though, you can't just go to an ATM and withdraw money right before your vending event. You need to go to the bank during the week because you need different denominations. You need 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. As far as how much, it really depends. I would say a minimum of $40 in change, mainly 1s and 5s. So that's really important. You don't want to forget that, because if someone doesn't feel like using their card, or if they have cash and you're just like, sorry, I don't have any change, it looks bad on you and you could be losing a customer. You could be losing potential sales. So you want to make sure that you have cash and that you had gone to the bank during the week. Do not forget to go to the bank. So before the event, you need to know exactly how you want your table to look beforehand. You don't want to show up, especially if you have a friend helping you, you don't want to show up the day of super stressed and your friend's like, oh, let me know how I can help, and you're like, I don't even know how I want my table to look. It's gonna be so stressful. I would say even practice the day before. Put out your table in your living room, put on your tablecloth, put everything on your table, get some opinions from your friends or family. Just see what looks good. What would you be excited for other people to see? You need to figure that out before you get to the event. Whoever is in charge of the vending event will send you information about when to get there, loading information, all this stuff. Please be on time. It is so stressful for you if you are late. You're gonna be so stressed. You're gonna start off on a bad note. You wanna get there, have time to set up, especially if it's your first time. You don't know how long it's gonna take. I think at first it'd take me a whole hour to set up, which honestly is not that long. Some people's processes take their process takes like 3 hours to set up. So that's another reason why practicing the night before is great, because you need to know how long it'll take. Get there on time, bring some coffee, bring a great mindset, maybe bring some speakers, some music, get in your zone, whatever you have to do, because the setup process for me is the most stressful part, as well as taking everything down. But the setup is key because you don't want to be stressed, you want everything to look good. So get there with enough time to do what you gotta do. Okay, so now let's start talking about you taking care of yourself, because you need to show up as the best version of yourself. You want to be calm, you want to feel good, you want to look good, you want to do great. So one important tip that has gone such a long way for me is being nice to your neighbors. You should be nice all the time, but being nice to your vending neighbors is so important, because when you need to go to the bathroom, someone has to watch your table. You want your neighbor to be like, oh yeah, no problem, I got you, you know. You want people to have your back if anything goes wrong. You know, a lot of times when you vend at all-day events, you have to set up at like 6, 7 in the morning. I've had my neighbor vendor say, hey, I'm going to grab some coffee. Do you want me to get you some? Little things like that really go a long way. So be nice to your neighbor. That's just, you know, common sense. One thing about that too is that these people vending around you have most likely vended at other events and can refer you to similar events. So if it's your first time, or even if it's your 5th time, asking your neighbor like, hey, do you know of any other events coming up? They'll tell you about it, and maybe you guys will see each other again and just help each other out whenever you find out about different events, because it really becomes a whole vending community, and it's really amazing. You want to make sure you bring water. You want to make sure you bring snacks. You're most likely vending for hours and you're going to be hungry. Even if you're at an event that sells food, you're most likely not going to have time to go and get food, especially if you didn't bring a friend to come help you. If you're by yourself, which I often am, I don't have time to leave my table for 15-20 minutes. So I bring a lot of snacks, or I bring some food that I've prepared beforehand that's easy to eat behind my table. Water. You want to make sure you're hydrated leading up to the event. It sounds like I'm preparing you for a marathon, and I kind of am, because you most likely are not going to want to drink that much during the event, because you're going to want to avoid going to the restroom so you don't have to leave your table. And if you don't drink water all day, you're going to go home feeling like crap. and you don't want that to be the case. Oh, that's all I had. Alright, so hopefully these tips are helpful to you. If you're feeling overwhelmed or you need some guidance, feel free to leave some comments. If, you know, in 2020 your goal is to vend for the first time, I wish you the best of luck. It feels scary, but you can do it. Like 2 years in now, I'm so happy that I had the guts to finally do it. If this is your 20th time, best of luck to you as well. It takes a lot of different times to get it right and to feel confident in your process. So thank you for still tuning in. I hope these tips are super helpful to you, and I wish you the best of luck.